Great. Okay, so hi Janice, thanks so much for joining.
Hi.
So take us through what you're showing us today as part of Fermentation Friday.
Right, well today it's a wee bit of a mixture of different things. Rhubarb's in season, and I'm going to do a lovely rhubarb, fig and ginger fermented relish that I just made up, and it is absolutely delicious. I'm going to share that one. A lovely tapenade, a fig and olive tapenade, which is fantastic really for any time of the year. Olives are fantastic because they're prebiotic, they're full of polyphenols that our gut microbes love. And again, they've just got the omega-3s, and figs are wonderful. I love figs, so I'm using figs in two things today, because again, figs are just great, and dried figs are available all year round, so I'm going to use figs twice. Then I'm going to do a lovely tomato salsa recipe, which is gorgeous, just full of colour, fantastic flavour. It's actually delicious as it is, but if you ferment it for 3 or 4 days in a glass jar, then you've got probiotics as well, and you get that lovely sour fermented time as well, and everything is more, it's sort of pre-digested, more broken down, more bioavailable, better for you, easier for you to absorb. And then I'm going to do a sweet corn relish. Again, it's absolutely fantastic for barbecue season. Most of the relishes that you buy have got so much sugar in them. Generally speaking, sugar is the second ingredient. I mean, to me, I just don't like adding sugar. It's the same with rhubarb. That's why I don't really make many rhubarb desserts, because it's really sour and you need to add so much sugar, which, as we all know, is not good. We all have far too much sugar as it is, so I try to minimise the amount of sugar all the time. So my sweet corn relish, again, it's a fermented one. It's got peppers, courgettes, red onions, sweet corn, coriander, all fantastic ingredients that are just fermented. And again, all the summer ferments, the wonderful thing about them is they're quite short ferments. So yeah, the salsa, the corn, 3 to 4 days, 3 to 5 days really. And then you've got, a fantastic sort of probiotic relish to have. And once you've got them fermented, you can put them in the fridge and they'll keep for about a month. So again, as I say, it's not difficult to ferment things at all. And I think one of the things that people, I should have, is that me? Okay. One of the things that I think people are a bit wary of with fermenting stuff is because we're dealing with bacteria, and people are a bit scared. Oh, I'm going to poison myself. Oh, I have to sterilize everything. And you don't have to do that at all, because what we're doing when we ferment anything is we're harnessing the power of the lactobacillus bacteria that are on the surface of all your veggies. And these are the sumo wrestlers of the bacterial world, the bacterial bouncers, and they will make short work of any other pathogenic bacteria that might happen to be lurking around. So it really is not that much of a concern. Again, if you're fermenting, you don't need to sterilize things. You just get your jars, you just wash them in soapy water and rinse them in hot water. That's all you need to do. There is no need to be sterilizing, things and worrying, is your stuff cleaning up? It's totally fine as long as they're washed in hot soapy water and rinsed. That is fine. So what I'm going to do, I'll have to be getting up and down a bit today because I've got quite a lot of different things to show. So what I thought I would start off with is to start off with my lovely rhubarb sort of relishy chutney. I'll show you, this is a small jar that I have left. I've got a wee bit of greaseproof paper on the top. If I show you that, can you see? It's not the most attractive ferment, I have to admit, because it's a wee bit brown, because the rhubarb's a bit brown, so are the figs. So I put some goji berries in that one. Just again, goji berries are fantastic for the immune system, and I had some in the bottom of a jar, so I put the goji berries in there. I don't have any today, so I'm just going to have to do it with the figs and the ginger. But that is just the most delicious wee sort of relish chutney, if you like. Most people grow rhubarb. And again, I find, it's like, what do you do with it? Unless you're going to make lots of like crumbles with loads of sugar, which I don't, I actually just think, okay, well, how can I ferment it? And to make a wee sort of chutney, again, is a great idea, because what I'm adding is not sugar, I'm adding figs instead of sugar, so there's no sugar going in here. And again, figs, okay, they're sweet, but figs have got fibre, they've got antioxidants, they've got vitamins, they've got minerals, they've got tons of good stuff, and they will add the sweetness instead of just adding white sugar, which is going to add nothing but sugar and calories. So what I've got in here, and I've just pre-chopped these, that's about 4 stalks of rhubarb, and I've just sliced them up sort of thinly and put them in my bowl. And again, if you can get nice pink rhubarb, that's fairly green, but it doesn't matter. It will still taste great once you put the figs in there. So that's it's about three stalks. It's about 400 grams, but the weights don't matter that much, to be honest. So that's my rhubarb. I've got about half a cup here of figs, dried figs, and I've just chopped them up roughly. So I'm just going to put them in. And then my next ingredient is fresh ginger. Now, and I love ginger. Rhubarb and ginger go really well together. And ginger's fantastic as well. It's great. It's very refreshing. It's zingy. It's delicious. It's great if you have any sort of, aches and pains. Good for nausea if you don't feel great, and good for fighting inflammation as well, which we all need. So I've got a bit of ginger. I've just peeled it. And what I'm going to do is just zest it. I've got a zester. You don't want big lumps of ginger. I find if you do that ginger, it can be quite nippy, I would actually say. I don't like big lumps of ginger, so I'm going to zest it. And what I'm going to do is add in about a tablespoon. If you don't have a zester, you can grate it, and that just gives it such a lovely, lovely flavour. So,
as well, for anybody watching, we'll share links to the recipes at the end of the event, so don't worry about writing all this down. We've got all the recipes typed up for you.
Right, I've got I reckon that's about a tablespoon. What I'll do is just going to put that in. So again, to see that all the ingredients that I use, they're all incredibly good for you. There's nothing dodgy, there's no additives, there's nothing other than you're just adding more and more benefits to what you're doing. Right, so what we need now, because we're going to ferment it, is we need to add some salt. Right, so I'm going to add about a teaspoon. And if you're using salt for fermenting, you don't want to use table salt. Table salt is just pure sodium chloride, and it's got additives and then you don't want it. So I've just got pink, cameline pink salt. So I'm adding about a teaspoon. It's about 6 grams. And that does sound a bit odd, adding salt to something that you're going to make as a kind of sweet relish, but it works really well. What I'm going to do now is, what the salt does is it will start to draw out the liquid from the rhubarb, and you'll get a brine, which is what you then ferment it in. I'm going to put my gloves on because ginger's a bit nippy and I've got very sensitive skin. So all you do is you just start giving it a bit of a wee mix. If you don't have figs, you can actually use raisins as well for this. Raisins work really well. Any kind of dried fruit. I guess you could use prunes as well, actually. Prunes are... So what you do is you just give it a bit of a massage, and eventually the salt starts to pull the water out, and you'll get that will be quite... You do need a wee bit of patience for doing this, and it depends how juicy your rhubarb is. If it's rhubarb that you have in your garden, then I'm sure that'll be fantastic. It's the stuff you buy in the shops. You don't know how long it's been lying about. Right, so...
Yeah, would frozen rhubarb work, or does it need to be fresh?
It's not so good because it's not the same texture. It's a wee bit mushy. You don't have the same bacteria unfrozen. And if that's what the majority of your ferment is, the sweet corn one that we're doing, you can use frozen sweet corn for that, because we're adding onion, and we're adding courgette and pepper and other fresh stuff that will have the bacteria as well. But if you're just going to make a ferment with all frozen, I don't think it would work quite so well. You're always better to use fresh. Okay. And again, that's the benefit of fermenting. It was always used to preserve food. And as I said in the last session, fermenting stuff is the only thing that you actually start off with something and you ferment it and you get something that's much better than you started with. If you freeze, fruit or veg, yeah, okay, you're not going to lose much, but you don't gain anything. And you ferment things and you gain loads. You get probiotics, everything's bioavailable. Right, so can you see that starting to... It really doesn't take that long. So if you have any goji berries, they're fantastic colour, and they'll just give it a wee bit of a colour. Because as I say, it's not the most attractive looking ferment, this, but it is absolutely delicious, and it's great to have with your burgers. It's lovely actually on a wee cracker with a lot of cashew cheese or cheese, nice in a sandwich, on a wrap. So it only takes a few minutes really, and that's about, look at all the brine, you can see that all coming out. So all we need to do now that's about enough to put into That's a 500 ml glass jar. You can buy these wee clip top jars in all the supermarkets. They all sell them. I think that was £1 from Asda. But you don't need, you can use any kind of jar, but these are quite good because you can clip them shut. So I've got my jar. And again, I think I've got enough. I've got enough brine to cover it. If you are massaging your rhubarb with the salt and you don't have a lot of brine, what you can do, just put a wee tea towel over it and leave it for 10 minutes, and the salt will draw the water out from the vegetables anyway. Saves you having to squash it as much. But again, as you can see, it's going to be a kind of a greeny browny colour, so it doesn't look great, but I can guarantee you it tastes fantastic. Right, so what we're going to do now is just squash it in the jar. And again, as I say, that the contrast between something like this and the relishes that you buy in the shops that are just sugar. And again, as I say, every ingredient that we have in here has a benefit for your health. Right, so that's just about exactly. Can you see that when I press it, all the liquid coming up?
Really juicy already, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, that literally takes a few minutes. Right, so, right. Now, what I did, as I say, I just made this recipe up, and I was intending to leave it to ferment for 7 days, but I forgot about it, so I'd left it. It was 10 days when I tried it, but it's absolutely lovely. But you can try it after 7 days. So can you see how much brine is in that? If I press that down, and that's quite a quick ferment, so that's going to be really fast. What you can do is to put something on the top to keep it all underneath the brine. I was saying to, I'm very fortunate. I've got a grapevine out of the front, the garden. It does have grapes on it, but they're absolutely sour as anything. You can't do anything with them. But the grape leaves, the vine leaves are fantastic for putting in your ferments to just keep everything down. So and I know not everybody's going to have a vine leaf, but nasturtium leaves work really well if anyone's growing nasturtiums in their garden, because nasturtium leaves are antimicrobial, so they'll stop mold in your ferments. Again, the thing is, in the summer, these are all quite fast ferment, so it's more unlikely that you're going to get any mold in that. So all I'm going to do is just press my wee vine leaf in like that and shut my jar, put a wee label on it, and I'll leave that for say 7 days and try that after 7 days. And once you're happy with that, you then put it in the fridge. And as I say, this is my wee jar that I've left, the one that I've fermented, the one with the goji berries in it, and it is absolutely delicious. It's so nice. And as I say, if you don't have figs, you can use raisins, you can use prunes, anything else you can use as well. Any dried fruit would work. Don't know so much about apricots, but you can just try it. And that's the fun thing with, once you get the principles, you can use what you like. I'm just going to quickly show you one other thing that I do with rhubarb. This is my rhubarb. This is a recipe I made up last year. This is a rhubarb, lime and ginger sauerkraut, which is absolutely delicious. I mean, it's just so good. And again, it's a summer one, so I'm going to ferment that for about 3 weeks, so it'll still be lovely and crisp and absolutely delicious. So again, that's another fantastic way to use rhubarb, that you're not adding sugar to it, you're just using it as part of a ferment. So that's got about 4 stalks of rhubarb in it, thinly sliced, with a white cabbage, and again, ginger and some lime. So I'll put that one away.
So the one you just made, you're saying like leave it for 7 days. If you leave it for longer, will it just become even sweeter, or does it go?
Well, sometimes it can end up slightly fizzy when you're fermenting fruit. Again, because you've got more yeast in fruit, it can taste slightly alcoholic, which is not really what you want. So I would say, yeah, try it after 7 days. It depends, and don't put it somewhere warm. Just put it in your kitchen and leave it to do its thing. And as I say, try it in 7 days. It's just absolutely delicious because the figs start to break down. They're adding sweetness. The rhubarb, it doesn't taste that harsh, sour way. It's just lovely. It's got such a nice balance of flavour. So, and again, as I say, really 7 days to 10 days. That's all you need to leave it. So that's that one. Right, so I'll put that there. So now what I'm going to show you is the fig and olive tapenade. I'll just get the ingredients now. This is really simple because all I'm going to do is to put all the ingredients in my Vitamix and blend it all up. So it doesn't really get any simpler than that, to be honest. And again, we're using olives, which I love. Olives are one of these love or hate things. Some people love them, some people hate them. In our house, most of us love them. Catherine, my daughter, detests them. So if I make anything with olives, she won't eat it, but the rest of us totally love olives. And again, if you buy good quality olives, they're actually probiotic. But if you buy the ones that we tend to get out of, you know, the supermarkets that have been treated, so they don't have live probiotics, but they're prebiotic, because they've got, as I said, fibre, and they've got loads of polyphenols, which our gut bacteria absolutely love. So this is a great way of getting olives into your diet. And again, olives can be, you know, slightly a bit bitter, a bit sour. If you add the figs, you're adding that sweetness, you're adding more fibre, you're adding more vitamins, all sorts of incredible stuff. So this is an absolute winning recipe. So, right, I'm here.
Another question there, just on the last one, the rhubarb one. Would you leave it in the daylight or the dark?
You can put it in the dark. I've got a cupboard in the kitchen that I tend to either, or you can leave it. Don't leave it right in the sunlight. UV light's not the best. You don't want the sun to get in at it. But yeah, you can leave it in the dark, as long as you remember that you put it in there, and don't leave it for like, well, sometimes I do that, and I leave things for like, you know, 3 or 4 months, and I was like, what is that? It's usually a nice surprise. So I found some wee garlic buds that I had actually fermented last year. They were still in the back of the fridge. They were still delicious. So.
I bet they were, yeah.
Right, what I'm doing now is I've got any kind of blender is fine. I've got my Vitamix, so I'm going to, right, so what I've got here, I've got some green olive, and they're just olives in brine, so I've just drained them. So I've got 120 grams of green olives, 120 grams of black olives. This is a very easy recipe because it's all 120 grams. 120 grams of dried figs, and I tend to buy figs from like Lidl. They're really nice. They're absolutely delicious. So, and there's no preservatives or anything in them, so they're really nice. So, right, so that's olives and figs in there. Next, we're going to add, I've got some rosemary from the garden. Again, I love to use herbs in the summer. If you grow herbs, I mean, so many people grow them and don't use them. And you actually really want to use quite a lot. You know, if you've got it, rosemary is fantastic. Again, polyphenols in herbs, our gut bacteria, you know, sort of love them. Rosemary is fantastic for your memory if you're feeling like it. I have tried that. I do use rosemary essential oil. It gives you a bit of a boost if you're struggling at all. So that's about a teaspoon of fresh rosemary going in there. Then
another question here, Janice. Which olives in particular do you get? Do you prefer jarred or fresh?
Well, if you can buy the fresh, the Greek olives that have been cured traditionally, they're really quite expensive. They're the best, because they're actually going to have probiotics in them, because olives actually are fermented, but then for the majority of them, they're treated with a so they don't have live probiotics in them, but the traditionally fermented olives will have, but they're the expensive ones you buy at the deli. And to be honest, we go through quite a lot of olives. I put it in my sourdough bread and whatever, so I just buy the supermarket ones. To be honest, Aldi's, I mean, it's like 90p or something for a jar of olives. So you still get lots of benefits, they're just not probiotic. But again, as I say, you've still got lots of benefits for your gut health. So that's what I use. But again, it's like everything else. You know, with quality, some things are worth paying a bit more money for. But if you can't find, you know, traditionally cured olives, then the ones you buy in the supermarket are fine. They're just not quite as good. Right, what I've got here is I've got some lovely, this is extra virgin olive oil. This one's actually from Aldi. It's an unfiltered one. It's fantastic. And you can see the colour. It's fantastic colour. It's got so much good stuff in it. It's really high in vitamin E. It's a fantastic source of omega-3s. And again, I'm mostly vegan, to be honest. So barbecue season, we do things like big portobello mushrooms, char grilled like vegetable kebabs, corn on the cobs, that type of thing. So again, as I say, we really don't miss meat at all in barbecues. We have fantastic barbecues, and they're all plant-based. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of my extra virgin olive oil. If you don't have extra virgin olive oil, you can add olive oil or avocado oil or walnut oil, whatever oil you have. Right, so that's 3 tablespoons of oil. And then I'm going to add, this is actually my own, it's kombucha vinegar. This is actually a hibiscus kombucha vinegar, which is gorgeous. It's got a really lovely flavour. You add any kind of vinegar is fine. If you've got apple cider vinegar, you add a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and that is absolutely lovely. Or balsamic vinegar will do as well. But I like to go one step further and add my kombucha vinegar, which has got probiotics in it. So, and it's just a tablespoon. So any vinegar, but apple cider is a good choice if you've got it. Right, that's that going in there. Right, I'm just going to close that. Right, so that's essentially it. So all you've got your 2 types of olives, green olives, black olives, some dried figs, some rosemary, some extra virgin olive oil, and some vinegar, whatever vinegar you have. And then all we're going to do is just blend that up, and you've got the most gorgeous fig and olive tapenade.
Really easy.
It is so, so delicious. And again, it's the combination of the salty, slightly bitter olives with the sweet figs, and you've got the flavour coming through from the extra virgin olive oil, and then you've got the wee hit of rosemary. It's just delicious. And again, the simplest things usually are the ones that people love the most. And that's what this is all. It's not about spending hours doing all sorts of fancy stuff. It's stuff you can buy in the shops. You just use it and you just blend it up. It takes 2 minutes to do it. So it really doesn't take long at all. I'll just go in quickly. Excuse the noise. This is a horrible noise in my Vitamix. It'll be 2 minutes. Back in a minute.
I've been buying, like Sainsbury's do really lovely organic olives in a jar. They're in brine, but they're quite good ones. If you shop at Sainsbury's, I'd look out for those ones as well.
Right, it smells fantastic. Right, so you can see I don't blend it up until it's a total puree. I like to have some bits in it. So that is the most gorgeous thing. And again, olives just reminds you of summer. Olives and figs and that gorgeous extra virgin olive oil. So that is an absolutely fantastic recipe. It is so simple. And if you I just put it into a jar, put it in your fridge. It doesn't usually last long in our house, I have to say. We tend to eat it, but it probably lasts a good couple of weeks. And it is absolutely lovely. And to have it just if you're having, like your crackers and cheese, biscuits and cheese, to have it with your burgers, have it with salads, have it as a wee, in your baked sweet potato if you're having that. Yeah, you can have it with that as well. And it's just so gorgeous. It really is. It's a fantastic flavour. And again, it doesn't get any simpler than that. So I hope you give that one a go. So I'll put this one up here. I'm having to try and tidy up all my stuff. Hold on, right. So that's that one. Another quick dip, actually, I thought I'll just quickly tell you about, and again, the recipe for that is in my blog. One of my favourite dips is just with vacuum packed beetroot. A beetroot walnut dip is exactly the same. You use a wee pack of vacuum packed beetroot. I actually buy one from Home Bargains. It's 35p. It's only cooked in water. There's no salt or anything else added. It's just beetroot cooked. You put the beetroot in your blender, half a cup of walnuts, and a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar, a tablespoon of tahini, a bit of garlic, and some salt, and you blend it up, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And the colour of it is just fantastic as well. Such a lovely colour.
We made something really similar to that. This is maybe a month or 2 ago. I did one of my free cook-along lives in the group, and we did a beetroot dip, and it sounds very similar to what you just mentioned.
It's so easy. And again, if you use a vacuum pack, then okay, I love fresh beetroot, but it takes quite a long time to cook. So I always have beetroot, and if I make beetroot, like beetroot marinara with just vacuum packed beetroot bourguignon, all sorts of things. I love beetroot.
We need to make things quick and easy. Like that's how we can make them. Like we can make them every week that way.
I know.
Not really need to think twice.
Yeah, right. Okay, right. I'm going to move on now to tomato. This is a fermented tomato salsa. The salsa actually tastes fantastic on its own. So I've said, so even if you just want to make the salsa and eat it, if you've got, if you're having friends, so if you're having a barbecue or whatever, you can just do it in advance and leave it for 2 or 3 days, and then it's fermented as well. The fantastic thing about this as well is tomatoes are quite juicy, so you get a lot of brine from this. So when you're serving your salsa, you'll be left with a fermented brine. And what you can do with that's obviously going to have probiotics as well. So you can just add some of your fermented brine to like a mashed avocado, and then you've literally got a probiotic guacamole. You can use it for your salad dressings. So, you know, again, as I say, sometimes when people do, you know, fermented stuff, they think once you've eaten whatever it is, just throw the brine away. And that's like teaming with probiotics. That is one of the best things. So I always use the brines, use them in dressings, you know, stir them into soups or whatever. Just drink them as a gut shot because they're usually absolutely delicious. Right, so what I have here, this is our salsa recipe. I've chopped up some of this in advance because you don't want to sit and watch me chopping up lots of stuff. I've got 500 grams of tomatoes. These are the big vine tomatoes. Any tomatoes will do, small tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, they'll do as well. So I'm just going to show you, that's one that's left. So I'm just going to, I'm halving them, then I'm just going to take the core out, and I'm just cutting it into fairly fine dice. Right, that one doesn't have core, so I'm just going to, and again, you don't need to be particularly fussy, but you don't want big giant bits, so I'm just going to do that. Right, and that's going in here. Right, next we've got a red onion. I absolutely love red onions, love any kind of onions. Onions are great for fighting infection in your body. Red onions are also a fantastic prebiotic, and they've actually got something called quercetin in them, which is an antioxidant, which is one of the most powerful antioxidants. And the amazing thing is, when you ferment anything good in it becomes more bioavailable, it becomes, there's more of it, everything good becomes better. And essentially what else happens is anything bad just basically buggers off. So you end up with everything you have in there is going to be the most bioavailable that it can be, which means your body can absorb all the benefits. So it's just so cool. I just love ferment stuff. Right, I'm going to cut my red onion. And again, as I say, when you ferment your red onion, the quercetin content, it just shoots up and just becomes way more bioavailable. So
that's great for hay fever relief as well. Yeah,
absolutely. And again, as I say, the colours, again, it's going with colours, isn't it? And if you think, okay, there's a white onion, there's a red onion, I'd always go for the red onion. It's the same with potatoes, sweet potatoes, I go for the sweet potatoes because they're a better colour. I tend to eat with my eyes, and again, you just want to go for as much different colours as you can possibly get. And again, that's the amazing thing about fermenting, because you can have all sorts of different things. Once you've fermented them, they'll keep in the fridge, so you can easily add all these incredible benefits to, you know, a wrap or a sandwich or a baked potato or a salad plate. It's so easy just to add them. And you don't need to be eating loads and loads of fermented food, although I do because I've been doing it for a very long time. But I mean, even a tablespoon a day is enough to give you a boost. Right, so there's a red onion going in. So again, yeah, absolutely love red onions. Use this one. So we've got red onion, we've got tomato. I've pre-chopped up here my pepper. And again, any colour of pepper is fine. I've gone for an orange one. I've gone for an orange pepper, but you can do a green one. I wouldn't do red because you've already got red in there. So we've got red, purple, orange, and again, just chopped into fairly small. Right, and then we're going to add some garlic. What we'll do is we'll put our salt in. We're going to add for this one. This is what we're doing. We're adding 2 teaspoons. Right, we're just going to add 2 teaspoons of salt. Right, so we're not weighing stuff or measuring it. We're just going to add a couple of teaspoons, right? Get our salt in. And again, because tomatoes are really juicy, you'll start to get brine really fast actually with that, right? So what we're going to add is we're going to add some smoked paprika, which just adds fantastic flavour. Or you can add just standard paprika as well, but the smoked, I love smoky flavours of things, so I'm going to add a teaspoon. Right, about a teaspoon of paprika.
How do you know to add 2 teaspoons of salt? Like, is there a sum or calculation, or is it just experience?
Well, there tends to be, if you're doing like a sauerkraut, for example, you want to aim for about a 2% salt. When you're doing like a quick summer ferment, it's not quite so important. You don't want it to be so salty that you don't want to eat it. As long as you've got enough salt in to get a brine, and these are all sort of very short summer ferments. So yeah, I do measure if it's for sauerkraut or something which are fermenting for longer. I tend to go for around about a 2% salt, but for summer ferments, I go for about 1.5. It's just a personal taste. So again, this is a kind of a rough amount, 2 teaspoons for what the amount that we have in here. It works out roughly, it's about 1.5%, which is fine. So you don't need to get overly, you know, worried about, oh, I need to measure it exactly. But the rhubarb, the friggin' rhubarb one, what you can do is you can weigh your stuff, just work out what 1.5% is. It's about, well, I had about 600 grams in there, so you just work it out and just add that. But it's roughly a teaspoon. And again, I don't want that to be a limiting factor for people thinking, oh, wait a minute, I have to add exactly. These are quick ferments, so they'll be, you know, they're really fine. And it's, you add the salt to create the right environment for the bacteria that we want to, you know, sort of proliferate. And in the summer, it's a bit warmer, so they're a bit more active. So if you've got the salt in there, they get to work pretty fast. Right, what else we're going to add?
Okay.
Cumin seeds, right. I'm going to add some cumin. I would normally add ground cumin, but I didn't have any, so I'm just going to add some cumin. I'm going to add some black pepper. Right, and then I'm going to add some garlic. Right, so, oh, and I'm going to add some coriander. Right, I've got some fresh coriander here. Coriander is, again, another one of these love them or hate them herbs. I love it personally, absolutely love coriander. It's one of the best things for getting rid of heavy metals from the body. It's an incredible detoxifying herb, and it just, to me, just tastes fantastic. Coriander and basil are two of my absolute favourite herbs. So I'm going to add a good load of, I've got my scissors here. And again, as I say, you know, all your fresh herbs have got so many vitamins, polyphenols, all sorts of things. Your gut bacteria love them as well. So I've chopped off. Oh, it smells fantastic. Right, I'm just going to chop that up. And again, the amounts, you know, I to be honest, I tend to buy coriander from the Asian supermarket, because you can get a fantastic, great big bunch, and it's always great. The spinach is fantastic. I buy my tahini from there as well. And again, the ones you buy in the standard supermarkets are a bit paltry. There's not that much on them, but it's better than nothing, I suppose. Or grow it yourself, which is even better. But I do find that coriander tends to go to seed really easily, and then, yeah, so I never had much success with coriander. Right, so we've got all the herbs in there. I'm going to add some garlic next. So you can see, again, look at all the colours. We've got purple, we've got orange, we've got red, we've got green. I'm going to add some garlic. And again, I've got some garlic here. I'm just going to put it through my garlic press. And again, garlic, as we know, is nature's antibiotic. It's fantastic stuff. I actually have my big jar of fermented garlic. It's probably kind of bad. This is my big giant jar of fermented garlic. But yeah, so I mean, you can add that, and that's already, that's probiotic, prebiotic, fantastic. But I'm just going to add some to my salsa.
Anyone wanting to ferment garlic, we did that 2 weeks ago with Janice in another demo, and that demo is saved in the group. So you can go back and give that a try if you like. Mine's sizzling away in the kitchen. It does start to smell quite strongly. Like
it's quite funny that, because some people find that it does smell really bad, and I don't actually find that mine does. My brother was the same, and he said, "Oh my, the smell." It's like, oh, well, but it's worth it for the health benefits.
No, definitely.
It's been, I did radish bombs once as a summer ferment, and oh my goodness, the smell of them. Everybody would come in and say, "What on earth is that smell?" I had to put them in the garage. It's like, is that sulphur? It's kind of like, oh, that is not nice.
Yeah. I remember you saying about the sulphur, actually, because a couple of the cloves in my jar are turning blue. So
that's great.
You say that's sulphur, or is it the copper? Maybe I think it's the copper you said.
Yeah, but again, it's some people think, oh no, I'll get mold, and you never get mold in the middle of a ferment. If you get mold, it's on the top, you know, where there's oxygen, but people end up throwing it out, and I'm like, what? Don't do that. Right, we're going to add some. Put 3 cloves of garlic in, but again, it's personal choice, whatever you like. Right, so there's another one. Again, as I said, this is actually a delicious salsa just on its own.
That's gorgeous.
We start to mix that in. And again, oh, it smells fantastic.
Chris is just asking if she could use frozen coriander.
Yeah.
Put a bag in the freezer.
Yeah, you can. again, you always get more benefits with fresh, but yeah, absolutely, you can add it because it'll still add the flavour. And in fact, if you don't like coriander, you can add flat leaf parsley instead. So again, tomatoes are incredibly juicy, so it really doesn't take long. You're just giving it a bit of a squidge. Just check that I've actually got everything in there. Excuse me, to put my glasses on, can't see. Right, I've got everything. I've got my salt, cumin, smoked paprika. Oh yeah, what I'm going to do is add the juice of a lime. If you want to, you can add some chili flakes. If you want to make it, or you can add a chili. I'm not great with spice, to be honest. I'm a chili wimp. Here again, I'm mixed in our house. Half of us love hot spicy stuff, and I'm a total chili wimp. Me and my two younger daughters are just like, oh, if there's chili in it, I'm like that, that's too hot. You know, so that is not hot at all. I know it's too hot. But I'll put a wee bit of chili. But the chili flakes actually are great. That's what I put in my kimchi and everything as well. Right, chili flakes, and then what I'm going to do, just for a lovely zesty summer flavour, I have a lime somewhere. Yeah, here it is. Right, I'm going to add the juice of a lime. And that again, I mean, obviously you'll get that'll bring the pH of your ferment down as well. Lemon juice, lime juice, and again, if you find you don't have a lot of brine, it actually is a way of yeah, just giving you a bit more liquid, and you're bringing the pH down at the same time. That's pretty juicy as it is, right? Because can you see?
Gorgeous.
I'm going to do it right. Okay, so yeah, that's lovely, and yeah, again, look, you can see there's just so much. So that literally, you really don't need to squeeze it at all. I'll just try it. Well, that is lovely. Very nice. Right. So that's that done. So what I need to do is just put that in a jar. I've got a different type of jar here, just a standard one. So what I'm going to do is just put that in there. And again, as I say, you will end up with quite a lot of brine left over from this. So just use the brine, add it to avocados. Again, if you squash it down, again, because these are quite fat and quick ferments, that they're less likely to get mold on them. If you can't, if you find, I think this jar's maybe a bit big. I'm gonna put that in. Right, I think that's it, right. Part of the thing as well with fermenting is to try and get a jar that's about the right size. You don't want to use a great big jar and only have it half full, and you don't want to have a small jar and have it crammed right up to the top either. So you kind of need to try and get one that's about the right size. Right. That's quite a hard jar to get your hands in to squash it all down. Right, what I was going to suggest here, I discovered another great thing actually for keeping your vegetables underneath the brine layer is the bottom bit of a butternut squash. That acts like a weight, and it kind of keeps everything down. If you cut it at the end, and it's not the top end with the wee knobbly bit, the bottom bit, because I think the waxy coating that you get on a butternut squash, you never get mold growing in that. And as I say, I just discovered that by accident, because I trimmed, that's not the best jar, but if you trim it, you can trim it to the size of your jar, and you can just squash that in, and that will just keep everything down. But again, as I say, this is quite a fast ferment, so we're going to talking about maybe 3 to 5 days for that. What you can do, again, with your summer ones, the jar, you can actually just, if you want, you can open it and just give it a good stir every day, just to make sure that if there is any sort of wild yeast or cam yeast on it, it's not going to survive if you stir it into the actual ferment. So you can either just open it and give it a wee stir every day and just mix everything in, or you can just close your jar up and just sort of make sure. That's actually probably a wee bit too big, to be honest. A wee Ziploc bag or a leaf on the top will just hold everything down, and will keep that safe while it's fermenting. If you've got a lot of oxygen at the top, you can sometimes you can get what's called cam yeast, which is white. It's always white, It's not harmful. It's a wild yeast that will come in if you've got oxygen in your ferment, and then what it does is it spreads like filaments over the top. It's not harmful, but once you've got it, it tastes yeasty. It's a wild yeast, and it can go through your ferment. It really doesn't taste that great. So again, as I say, the way to avoid that is by making sure you've pressed your ferment down and you've got something to keep it weighted down. And again, as I say, these are all fairly quick, fast ferments, as summer ones. So that's my, I'll put a wee plastic Ziploc bag in that. The other thing you can do, if you have a plastic Ziploc bag, you can put your plastic bag in, and then what you can do is you can fill it up with some brine. Standard level of brine is about 2%, so really it's a teaspoon of salt in a cup of water. Mix that up, put that in your wee bag, and you can put that in, and that will hold everything down and keep it weighted. If it leaks, it doesn't matter because it's still just the same kind of brine level, so that's fine. So you can do that. So there's the salsa. So as again, that will be ready. You just leave that for 3 to 5 days. Try it after 3 days, and if you think, well, that's nice, what happens is when it ferments is you get this sort of wee sour fermented tang. And if you're not familiar with that, then you something that I don't know what it's supposed to taste like, but that tastes delicious on its own, and you just get the added benefit of the wee fermented tang and the probiotics with it as well. So that's another thing I was going to quickly say you can do with tomatoes is if you've got wee cherry tomatoes, and I think the recipe for that as well is you can actually make what they call like probiotic tomato bombs. These are fantastic. Wee cherry tomatoes, stick a hole in them with a cocktail stick, put them in your jar. You can put them in a clip top to any kind of jar. Fill them up with your tomatoes. You can put in any herbs, your rosemary or basil or flat leaf parsley, a couple of cloves of garlic. Make up a 2% brine. Again, as I said, that's 20 grams of salt in a litre of water, or 10 grams, which is 2 teaspoons in 500 mils, depends on the size of your jar. Just pour the brine over your tomatoes. Again, put something to hold them down, and you just leave them to ferment, you know, for 4 or 5 days. And then when you eat them, they're like wee fizzy tomatoes. It's really quite a surprising thing if you don't know what it is, and you take like, oh, it's like a fizz bomb tomato. But they're really quite fun actually. So you can do that, and that's an easy thing to do. You just, you know, stab them with a cocktail stick, put them in your jar, and with some herbs and some garlic and some brine, and again you leave them about 4 or 5 days, and then you end up with gorgeous wee fizzy tomatoes to surprise your guests.
Yeah.
If you have any guests. Right, so that's that one. So last one I'm going to show you is just like the sweet corn relish, and this is a great one for barbecue season because, I mean, sweet corn's naturally sweet, so why they have to add all the sugar to the shop bought ones, I've no idea. And this one again is just vegetables that we're chopping up, we're salting them, we're fermenting them for again about 5 days, and then if you want, what you can do is you can stir in a tablespoon of raw honey if you have it, or you can stir in a wee tablespoon of maple syrup if you want that kind of sweet flavour. But I don't think you need it, to be honest, but it's an option if you want to. Right, so let me get that. Right, next bowl. Right, I'm sorry. I could do with an assistant to tidy up all the mess.
So with this corn, you said you could use frozen. What about tinned corn?
It depends if it's got preservatives in it. You need to check because a lot of tinned stuff's got sugar, salt. Actually, to be honest, that's frozen corn from Aldi's. It's absolutely delicious. So I've got in here, I've got 3 cups of corn, and obviously if you're using frozen, let it thaw out a wee bit. What I'm going to add to this again, look at the colours. We've got yellow, we're going to add red pepper, some courgette, some red onion, and again some coriander, and some lime. So all I'm going to do, and again, you don't want to cut it into tiny wee bits, but it's a kind of relish, so yeah, just cut it in. And again, as I say, if you just look at all the colours that we're using.
Yeah,
right,
you just,
yeah, and obviously if you've got fresh corn, yeah, absolutely you can use that, but it's a bit more of a faff because you've got to get all the corn off the cobs. I actually grew corn on the cob one year in my garden, but you have to grow it in like a grid system. So I had 4 planted, but I only had 2 corn on the cobs. And I read somewhere that what you have to do is when you cut them and eat them straight away, they are the most deliciously sweet thing. So you get your water boiling first, go and pick your cob, put it in the water and then boil it for 2 minutes and then eat it. It was the most delicious thing. I actually ate both of them myself. I only had 2. It's like that's so good. Because the sugar starts to turn to starch. So a lot of the time, the ones you're buying, if they're old, they're not that sweet, which is not very nice. But anyway.
You could throw them on the barbecue as well, probably. That would be.
We do that, yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah, we love barbecued corn. Right. Again, kids really like sweet corn, I think, because it's sweet.
Yeah, they do.
In fact, in a lot of Asian countries, where they actually use sweet corn as a sweet. I had, I used to work at, when I was in my food science days, I was in the department, and I was working with a lovely Malaysian girl, and she said, oh, we've got an ice cream maker, would you like me to make some ice cream? And I'm like, oh yes, I love ice cream. She said, what flavour would you like? I'm like, any flavour, I love any flavour. So she came back the next day with my ice cream. She'd made me sweet corn ice cream. And I was like, oh, thank you. And I was like, that's so strange.
Was it nice?
They picked me up for dinner, and they had custard with sweet corn. And then I thought, well, I guess it is sweet. So, yeah, it was a bit odd. It wasn't my favourite ice cream, I have to say.
Not what you were expecting, for sure.
No, it was not what I was expecting. I was like, oh, okay, thank you.
Another interesting test you can do at home with sweet corn is you can measure, like, time your transit time. So in terms of how regular you are, like, so you're going to eat the corn and then you're going to keep an eye out on, this is horrible, I know we're talking about food right now, but if you keep an eye out,
I know,
fuel for the undigested corn, you then you can get a sense of how many days it took to get from your mouth to the other end. And it just gives us an idea of what your transit time is like. So if you're somebody with a sluggish bowel, you know, we can do lots of work to speed that up. And you can, that's just a nutritionist thing maybe, but it's an interesting one if you're into that kind of.
I know, it is very interesting. A lot of times totally undigested. Oh, well, it's totally delicious.
And I think some people worry as well when they find like undigested corn in there. So it's perfectly normal. That it's just parts of a vegetable we can't digest. But the great thing is that the gut bacteria love to digest it, so they're going to be munching away on that as it's passing through your system. So another reason to eat Janice's corn relish. And
again, as I say, we've got so many nice colours in here. Again, red onion, which is a fantastic prebiotic too. Right, so I've just roughly chopped up, that's my courgette, my sweet corn, my pepper. Right, that's in there.
So I've got another question from Jennifer. She's asking, how do you know how long to leave the ferment? I did cauliflower and red cabbage, but don't know when it'll be ready.
It depends how big the bits are, to be honest. I find red cabbage is much coarser than white cabbage, and I've done red cabbage krauts a few times, and I find it takes a lot longer to ferment. And if you shred it finely, or if it's your cauliflower and you've sliced it rather than just put whole florets in, it takes longer if the bits of veg are bigger, because there's less surface area for the bacteria to get to work. But again, it's a personal choice. If it just still tastes like a salty vegetable, then it's not fermented enough. But again, a lot of the recipes will give you kind of guidelines. That's all they are, it's guidelines. But my standard, if I'm doing a standard like a cabbage kraut, it'll be at least 3 weeks I'll ferment it for. But 3 weeks to up to 6 weeks, 7 weeks. But the longer you ferment it, the more sour it becomes and the less crisp it becomes. And I like summer krauts to taste fresh. So at 3 weeks is really my max for like my rhubarb ginger kraut. It'll be 3 weeks. Right, let me see what else I'm adding to this one. Right, I'm going to add some coriander. So it's the same ingredients, and I'm just going to add some. I'm only adding about a teaspoon of salt here. A teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half. Right, and again I'll add about a teaspoon and a half. Right, so again it's the same thing. We're just going to do exactly the same. Yeah, just mix it all up, and I'm going to add some coriander. Yeah, a bit. Again, if you don't like coriander, your kids don't like it, it's fine. Again, what you can do here is you can add some chili flakes if you want to it spicy. If you don't, you just leave it as it is. You don't need to add the coriander, but I actually love coriander because it's got such benefits as well. It's really great for your health. So I've got another one here. I'll just cut that up and put that in there. So again, really, with fermenting, it's just a matter of mixing your ingredients in a bowl, massaging it a bit until you get enough liquid to cover it when you put it in a jar, and then you just leave it aside for the length of time that's suggested. If you try it and you think, oh, well, it doesn't taste that particularly sour or whatever, you can just leave it a bit longer. One of my favourite sauerkrauts that I make is lemon and dill. The recipe had suggested leaving it for 2 weeks. And at the time I had I did have a workshop. I thought, oh, great, I'll do the big reveal and we'll try it and it'll be delicious. And I opened it all up and I tried it and I thought, actually, it wasn't that nice. I was really disappointed. So I put it all back together again and I left it for another week. And at 3 weeks, it was absolutely delicious. So now I do it for 4 weeks, and that's my preference because the flavours have all melded and it's just absolutely gorgeous. So again, it's only guidelines a lot of the time for the times that they're giving you. Right, again. Right, that's our coriander. And again, we've got some lime juice in this as well. Again, you just give it all a good squeeze. And if you put the salt in, what you can do is you can just mix everything in with the salt, cover it with a tea towel and go away and leave it, and then come back if you have other things to do. Right, I'm going to add some lime juice to this as well. And again, if you add some like lemon or lime, that will give you some more brine, and also lime tastes great in a salsa or a relish anyway. Right, and again, it's just looking at the colours. I mean, look at all the fantastic colours we've got in there.
Beautiful.
Oh, and I'm going to put this in that's about a 750 sort of size jar for the sweet corn. That'll just fit in. Ideally, what I would do is just to fill it to about here, and then I'll put my leaf in, just to keep it all underneath. But again, a Ziploc bag, a cabbage leaf will do for the top. And again, can you see?
Gorgeous.
It really doesn't take that long to get. So even if you've used frozen corn, all the other vegetables are fresh. And again, you can freeze things that are probiotic, and some of them will survive. But the thing is, if you're using all frozen stuff, then you're not going to have the same level of bacteria, because some of them will be sluggish, some of them will have died off. Different if you're adding some frozen and then adding fresh as well. It was like when we made the tomato ketchup. If you're going to cook some of your tomatoes, you need to leave some of them fresh as well, so that you've got enough bacteria to actually ferment, or you have to add something else that's fermented to kickstart it.
And even like when you think about why we freeze in the first place, it's the modern way of preserving things, whereas what we're doing here with the hands-on fermentation is we're preserving things the ancient way before we had freezers. So like, I suppose if we use fresh and preserve it this ancient way, we don't need the freezer. We
don't need it, no. And again, as I've said, fermenting stuff, you actually end up with something that is way better than what you start with. Even if it's just a standard cabbage you fermented, the vitamin C content shoots up by a huge amount. The bacteria break things down. It's literally pre-digested. And all sorts of other cool stuff happens. Plus, you've got loads of lactobacillus bacteria.
Yeah.
So it is the best way, absolutely, and it's also the safest way to preserve stuff. Right, so I think we've got enough. You can see, once you pick it up and you squeeze it. So again, as I say, once you've got it, you're just going to pack it into a jar, put a leaf on the top, and then leave that for 4 or 5 days. Try it, and then if you want to, you can stir in a tablespoon. If you have raw honey is fantastic, or some maple syrup, or if you want to just eat it as it is, it's perfectly nice as it is. I think sometimes if you're feeding kids and whatever, that everything that you buy has got such an artificially high level of sugar that they eat something and expect it to be immediately sweet, which is absolutely not really what you want to be doing. That's lovely. Right, I think that's everything. Lime juice, so there's no garlic in this. Pepper, onion, courgette, and again, I'm not going to bother adding the chili flakes. I'm just going to keep this as just a nice standard relish. So that will go in the jar. Yeah, and again, you just push that in the jar. That'll be it. Lovely and all ready for barbecue season. I think the weather's changed. I think we've missed the barbecue season. That was last week.
I hope not.
I know. In fact, it's been cold again.
And Tracy's saying here as well, like a bit of forward planning. If you spend an hour over the weekend making these things, then they're ready for next weekend. So
of course,
maybe this will be back next weekend, and you're.
I know. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But the thing is, I see, is usually once things are fermented and have gone in the fridge, they'll keep, you know, for at least a few weeks. Sometimes the tomatoey based ones, maybe not so much. It just depends, really, to be honest. But I mean, they'll all keep for at least a couple of weeks anyway. Now, again, you can see when I'm pressing that, you're starting to get that level of liquid coming back up. Can you see when I press it? Right, I'm just going to put this. And if you have too much for your jar, just eat the rest of it. Don't have to cram it all in the jar. Right, I think I can mention just a, right, I think that's probably enough. Right, so can you see, again, when you press that down, that brine level's coming right up.
Yeah.
And then, as I say, what we'll do is, again, if you've got a cabbage, we'll put the butternut squash in here. Right, wait a minute, we'll just trim it. Yeah, I discovered that quite by accident, and it works fantastically well. If you put anything else, like I did used to do with like a big slice of lemon, but if the lemon is sticking out of the brine, you'll get mould on the lemon, whereas you never get mould on the butternut squash. It must be to do with the waxy coating or something on it.
So weird, yeah.
Even if it doesn't, even if it's sitting outside it, there isn't, it's not cut. Can you see? But if you put that and you squeeze that down, that's perfect. So that's absolutely perfect. That's enough brine to keep that going. I'll just clip that shut. And that's going to be my fermented sweet corn relish. And again, if I want, I can add some sweetener to it if I want to at the end. But again, as I say, it's up to yourself. But I mean, adding a tablespoon of raw honey, that's actually adding more benefits as opposed to the ones that you buy in the shops that the second ingredient is sugar.
They're laden with the stuff. It's totally unnecessary. Yeah.
I'm one of those mad people that goes around the supermarket looking at labels and I'm like, oh my God. And I go around looking at people's trolleys thinking, you shouldn't be buying that. Look at you. Have you any idea how much sugar's in that? And then you look at these monster drinks and stuff like that. Oh my goodness.
No.
It's awful. Right, can I quickly just say one other thing about, I like to forage stuff as well. Can I just say that it's getting to the end of wild garlic season. Anybody that's been out picking wild garlic, what you can also do is you can ferment the wee seed heads from the wild garlic. I've got a big jar that I did. Yeah, here's a big jar. And these are actually like wee garlicky capers. They are absolutely delicious. And then all I've done is just harvested the seeds. And if you try them, they taste quite spicy. They're like garlicky spicy. All I've got in there is just my jar, filled it up with the seeds, and I made up a 2% brine, poured it over the top, put a couple of bay leaves in it, and I'll let that ferment for a couple of weeks. That'll go in the fridge, and then I'll add that to all my salads and things. And it'll add a real garlicky hit and, you know, lots of other stuff too. So I don't like to let anything go to waste. So I also ferment the wee flower buds as well. So that's a fantastic thing. So if you've got wild garlic near you, it's all going over now. That's the season finished, but you can still harvest the seeds.
Great tip. Tracy's wondering, she's saying, I've still got garlic leaves outside. Are they too bitter to use in pesto?
You can try it, or try a few of them and then add something else as well. Try a wild garlic spinach, do a half and half. It's like everything else, as they get to the end of the season, they do become less juicy and less desirable to eat. But again, as I said, with wild garlic, you can actually eat, you know, I love the leaves in the spring, then I'll eat the flower buds, and then you can have the seeds. So again, it's a personal thing. They certainly won't do you any harm, but they won't taste as nice as they would at the start of the season. So if you've got them, try it and see. You know, and again, what I do is just mix it in with either some basil or some spinach or some other green. What else was it? I've made a giant mess. You don't need to go and make like loads of like rhubarb crumbly things with loads of sugar. Rhubarb, or even try the sauerkraut. And I'm going to put the sauerkraut recipe on my blog as well, so you can check it out.
That's excellent. Okay, so if anyone has any more questions, what I'm going to do now is I'll probably stop the record and we can have a chat. Before I do that, Janice, where can we find you if we want to keep in touch?
Well, you can find me. I'm on Facebook at Nourished by Nature UK. I'm on Instagram at Be Nourished by Nature, and you can contact me through my you know, how to make different fermented things. Most at the moment it's all about kombucha, but I'll be adding lots of other ones on. So if you want, you can subscribe to that as well, and then you'll be contacted when I put a new one up.
Wow. Okay, great. And for any of the demos that you have missed, you can find them in the Gut Health Club Facebook group. We didn't actually do any wild garlic. That's something I missed this year, but I did do nettles, and we did nettle pesto and nettle soup. Yeah. So maybe next year we can do that.
Nettle seeds, Mary, have you tried nettle seeds? Are amazing. They are fantastic. So you get nettle seeds will be coming in about a month or so. So then you can go and harvest the seeds. Nettle seeds are incredible.
So what would I do with those?
Oh, I'd put them in everything. Dehydrate them. You go get them. I dehydrate them and then just store them. Add them to all sorts of things. It's almost like nature's kind of amphetamine. Really gives you a real boost. And the seeds are actually get more benefits than the leaves. And everybody knows nettle leaves are incredibly beneficial, but the seeds are even better. And I'll tell you, they actually worked a treat, because I read about it and I thought, oh, I need to try that. Gives you loads of energy. So I tried 2 teaspoons. I just ate them fresh. I've never got as much work done in my entire life. I was up till about 12 o'clock. My house was immaculate. The thing was that I couldn't get to sleep. I was like lying awake all night. But if you dehydrate them, they're not quite as powerful as that, but it's almost like drinking like 3 espressos. It gives you such a buzz. But if you dehydrate them, it's, you know, and it's fantastic for your skin and for your hair, everything else as well. So, and again, what I'll do is I'm going to be posting about that in my blog, because I've got quite a lot of foraging stuff. And again, that's just harnessing stuff when it's at its absolute best. But then how do you preserve it so that you can benefit from it all year round? You know, so yeah, nettle seeds, yeah, absolutely, they're fantastic.
So when will I find those? You said next month, is it?
The seeds will be probably in about a month or so, or maybe into July, into August. Okay. The interesting thing is nettles are actually, you get male and female nettles. So you get the seeds are in the female nettle plants. All right. I thought that's quite interesting, isn't it? So you see them all hanging down, I mean, but they're so beneficial. So I usually send my husband, I send Alistair to get all the jaggy nettles, and then I just have fun sorting them all out. So I'm cutting them. He gets all jagged to go and get them.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but no, they're fab.
I'm gonna stop the record just in case anybody would like to have a chat to you.